Hey everybody, it's your boy Neverboy Q. So the objective of this tutorial video, I guess you can call it that, is to learn Python for anybody who's never touched programming before. It's just a quick little starter. A lot of people try, they don't know what to look for. I teach a course at my current job and people were asking me different questions. So I said, you know what? Why not make a video? So if you guys like it, give it a like, share, whatever. If you want other questions, feel free to ask. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna kind of try to keep this as short as possible. First thing you're gonna need to do is install Python. Python is at www.python.org, and all you do is go to this page, look under downloads, and you're going to download the latest. Now, you're going to notice that I'm downloaded for Mac OS X because I'm on a MacBook Pro. If you're not on a MacBook Pro in a Windows system, it's fairly the same thing. There's one little thing to keep in mind, and that's right here. When you're going through the install process, there are going to be a bunch of screens. I've already installed it, so I'm not going to go through that right now, but it's really quick. It's truly painless. You go here, there's going to be an option. You see it highlighted down here that says add Python 3 blah, 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 whatever your version is, to path. You're going to need to do that, and I'll explain that why in a second. Now, make sure you download 3 something. Make sure you download the latest version. There are a lot of different versions. Python is what you call an open source programming language, meaning people make tools like third-party tools for it all the time. And if you don't have the right base level, those tools won't work. And Python is all about third-party tools, and I'll explain that in a later video. At any rate, make sure you download the latest, and that's the first one that pops up in this option. Oh, now with that being said, now you got to test to see if the install was done correctly. Now, for me to test it, I'm going to open terminal. That's on the Mac system. If you're using a Windows system, make sure you click on the Windows key, and you want to click start searching for command prompt. And you're going to do the exact same thing that I'm about to do here. So that's the only real difference between the Windows setup and the Mac setup. First thing you want to do is type in Python, Python, and hit enter. And that's what you should see. You may see something a little bit longer, whatever the case is, but this is the goal. You should see Python, the version, and then a bunch of gibberish. None of that matters. All that matters is Python starts, and you'll know it starts because you'll have those 3 characters right there. Now, first things first, programming. Programming is a language. It truly is. It's just like any other language, English, French, Spanish. There's syntax and there's semantics. Syntax is how the things are written out, and semantics kind of explain why they're written out the way they're written out. First thing to learn is what's a variable. So a variable is basically just like a space where you assign a value. You give it some random name, like I'm going to call it X, and I say X equals 1. And you can make the variable name anything you want. Specifically, there are certain keywords that are recognized in different programming languages, and we'll touch on that in just a minute. But you can name it something like, you can even name it something like variables. You say variables equals, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what you'll notice right here is I did 2 different types of variables. These, now we're getting into types, right? So that first one was just one variable value. So X equals 1. I set the variable name X to a value of 1. That is an integer value. Integer is just a number with no decimal points, right? And then I made another variable called variables, and then I assigned it 4 values, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And that open bracket 1, 2, 1 comma 2 blah blah, close bracket, that's called making an array. So that's multiple values. And this is what's nice about Python. It's very easy to describe a variable or assign the value. Now, the first one was an integer, the second one was a series of integers, the third one, let's just make it something fun, and we're gonna call it string, just so it make it easy to follow. And you say apples. Cool. And if you want to see, like, okay, what I don't remember what I assigned it, right? You say print X, right? Or you say print variables. Boom. All right. Now, what you'll notice is I did something where I said print. What is print? Print is what you call a function. Print is a built-in function. As soon as you install Python, there are certain keywords and functions that are already pre-installed, right? Print is one of them, and print does exactly what it sounds like. It takes whatever you pass into it. Some things, when you create functions or you have predefined functions, sometimes they take arguments. All right. So print, usually you'll notice that I did the name of the function, which is print. Then I said open parentheses, close parentheses. That's the syntax of how you write out a function. That's how you call a function. Sometimes you define your own, sometimes you use predefined functions. At any rate, you go here, you say print, and then this specific function is it's expecting some type of value to be passed in. Because, of course, it's printing. So it's expecting you to say, hey, print what? Right? So here, again, you can say, in this one, you can say print string. Cool. Now, you notice I say, we'll even make it a little bit easier. Let's say integer equals 1, string equals apples, or apple. Cool. Now, one thing that's interesting about Python is an interpretive language, meaning in old school programming languages, you had to assign a specific type. Now, notice I named one integer and I named one string. Integer is just a good way of representing, hey, this is an integer value. That's why I named it that. You usually want to make your variables like a name that's easily recognizable so that when you go back and check your code, you can just follow along. Oh yeah, I made it for this reason. This is what it's used for, or whatever the case is. The second one, you notice I said string. Now, notice something interesting. When I say print integer, it prints out 1. And then I say print string, prints out apple. That's cool. Now, what's interesting about this is because Python is an interpretive language, if I say print integer, let's say string, you get an error message. Now, what is that error message? It tells you exactly what it is. It says type error, right? So Python, because it's interpretive language, a lot of times you can just say print whatever this variable is or print whatever this value is, and it'll print it because it'll interpret it as a string, because print is supposed to print strings, right? It'll sometimes do some funny stuff to it, and then it'll just print it. All right, cool. But right here, now it's getting confused because one variable is like, hey, one's an integer and one's a string. Like, what's going on? Like, it's trying to interpret it as one argument, but now it's getting confused. A good way around this is you have to make sure you set the syntax a certain way. So then you say print. A nice way to do this is, there's a million different ways to do this, but you can say F, and then that's basically formatting it. And then you say apostrophe, apostrophe, and within those apostrophes, you include your variables in curly braces. So for instance, I say integer, and anything that's not within a curly brace is considered like a regular set of string characters, right? Just random text. And then what was our other one? Let's see. I'll just say one of whatever, right? And this should say one of apple. Exactly. So right there, you learn there's different types of variables. We can get into that a little bit deeper later if you want, but this is a good like intro. Next thing I want to go through really quickly is a loop. One of the biggest things about programming are variables and loops. You use these often. Variable, loops, and functions. You got to use these. One loop, this is one of those keywords I said that Python really recognizes, a for loop. For loop is just a way to iterate the same set of instructions repeatedly to a certain extent. For example, so if I say for I in range, let's say 1 to 11, right? And then I say print I. Now, you'll notice I did an indent. Now, Python is an indent syntax-based programming language. What that means is anytime you have like a function or a loop and there are contents within that function or loop, you have to indent it. So all that means is it's like a folder directory. You have a folder, and in that folder, everything that's contained looks like it's indented for the most part when you go looking through a directory. Same exact thing here. So what this is doing is saying, oh, there's a for loop. I'm going to say from 1 to 11, I want to print the value of I. And that's all it does. You say from 1 to 11. Now you notice 11 is not there, right? What this syntax is saying, for the value of I in a range from 1 to 11, print the value, all right? We're going to stop at 11, meaning the 11th run never gets executed. That's when you actually stop it. So this is called making your first counter. Now, you can do this, let's say, to 101. It should apply the same principle. So if you do this, you should not see 101. You should only see 100. Cool. Boom. And just like that, you just made your first counter. Thank you for taking out the time to watch. If you need any more detail, if you have any, like, you're like, hey Prince, I don't like the way you did that. Like, maybe you can do this a different way. Hey, this video's too short. Hey, this video's too long. Let me know. I'll make adjustments as needed. If anybody has suggestions of better ways to do this so I can help you all, let me know. Hey Prince, I don't like the way you type that. I don't like the sound. No problem at all. Just let me know. I make sure I respond within 24 hours. I guarantee it. I always carry my phone and my laptop. At any rate, if you liked it, like it, share it, subscribe, whatever the case may be. But thank you for taking out the time to watch my video. Y'all go ahead and have a good time, progress.